Welcome to a video to help you on loops. I've been answering a lot of the same questions because it seems that students are making an error when doing loops in code.org, and I can tell you as a coder that you don't know ahead of time necessarily that you're going to have a loop in your code unless that you plan it out ahead of time, and you usually have to do this on paper or on a whiteboard. We often do it. So if you're not planning it on paper exactly the way your program is going to run, you can't assume that there's going to be a loop in your program. So the first thing when you do something, I see a lot of students in this program, they just put a repeat block in and they start sticking blocks in and seeing if it works. And then they raise their hand and say, "Mr. Miller, I can't figure this out. I don't know why it's not working." Well, the reason is that we don't know what the loop is before we start. You can't assume, even in this loop, I know you're doing it in this loop, this is a loop section, so you assume there's going to be a loop. But the fact is, that's not how we solve it in coding. We have to first figure out what the code is that's going to make our program work. Then we see where there is a pattern or something that repeats or loops so that we can then turn it into a repeat block in this situation. So you have to, what I tell students is ignore that the repeat block is there on these. If I come and I see that you're using this and you don't understand it, I'm going to say, well, just take it out and just do it with your blue blocks. Make it work first with your blue blocks, and eventually you might see a pattern. Now see, already I've done it. I see that already I've put not enough forwards there, so I need to put another forward in here to make it to that first corner. Now, not knowing what's coming next, I can't assume this is a loop, so I have to keep going, right? So I do another forward, 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 and you see, now I'm going to test it again, because this is what I do always in coding. I test it as I'm going along. I don't try to get all the way to the end and then say, darn, that didn't work, because then I have a million things I need to go back and fix. I often do it step by step. Add a few things, test it. Add a few things, test it. So already I see, oh, I didn't make it far enough. And I'll get students who come and say this, "Mr. Miller, I'm stuck right here," or on something like very similar. And the fact is, well, you just didn't make it work. So you have to figure out, how do I make this code work? Well, I have to go forward again, right? And then I need to turn left. Now you might see that there's a pattern. And if you're not sure, I would keep going. But you might see a pattern now, right? And since this is so nice with the code.org blocks, you can actually compare parts of blocks. So I could do, oh wait, no, that's not a loop. That's not a loop. That doesn't match. Oh, that looks like it matches, doesn't it? So I know that at least this is looping at least 2 times, but I can't assume that it's just 2. Maybe I have to keep going with my blue blocks. So yes, it doesn't matter while I'm just doing this, while I'm testing it out, that my workspace is going over 13. I see students go, "Oh no, that can't be right, Mr. Miller. Look, we've already gone past 13 blocks." Well, that's true, but 13 blocks here is the limit when you're done. And right now we're not done with our code. We're going to keep fixing our code. We're going to debug our code to make it to get to 13 blocks or even less. It's possible to even get it less on this. So just remember that you need to use your blue blocks first. Don't assume you're going to have a repeat block. Don't put it in till later. If you're having trouble on finding the pattern, that's a great time to raise your hand and ask a question. Otherwise, and what I just showed you is a loop for part of it, but you're going to have to figure out the pattern for the rest. So test it out, and when I come in and when you call me over for a question, make sure that you show me that you're trying it with the blue blocks if you're not sure about the loops, okay? Thank you, and once again, always let me know if you have questions.